Imagine a place that tells a story spanning centuries, where culture and nature intertwine to create something truly extraordinary. That's the beauty of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. I'm Abigail, and this is Global Treasures, the podcast that covers the history, travel tips, and legends surrounding one of the 1,223 World Heritage Sites each episode. These places have been identified as having universal cultural and/or natural significance that is so exceptional that it transcends national boundaries and is of importance to present and future generations. Welcome to Season 2, where we'll explore the 45 sites that UNESCO added in 1979 together. If you would like to support the show, you can subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please follow us on Facebook and TikTok as well, and tell your history or travel-minded friends about us. In this episode, I'll be introducing you to Memphis and its Necropolis, the pyramid fields from Giza to Dahshur in Egypt. Imagine a landscape where stone whispers stories of pharaohs, where pyramids pierce the sky, and every grain of sand holds a fragment of human history. Welcome to Memphis. Not the Tennessee city of blues and rock and roll, but the original Memphis, the heartbeat of ancient Egyptian civilization. Today, we're journeying to a place that was once considered the wonder of the world. A necropolis stretching across 30 kilometers, or over 18 miles of desert plateau, where kings were buried, gods were worshipped, and the foundations of one of humanity's most extraordinary civilizations was laid. Memphis wasn't just a city. It was the epicenter of power in ancient Egypt. Established around 3100 BCE by Pharaoh Namr, this was more than just a capital. It was a sacred landscape, a hub of administration, religion, and incredible architectural innovation. Originally named Hut Kata, or Mansion of the Soul of Ptah, the city emerged from a complex political landscape. The unification of Upper and Lower Egypt was no simple task. Namr's achievement was a delicate balance of military conquest and political diplomacy. Archaeological evidence, including the famous Namr Palette, suggests a series of strategic battles and alliances that gradually brought together two distinct cultural and political entities. The city's location was no accident. Positioned at the convergence of the Nile Delta and Nile Valley, Memphis occupied a geographical sweet spot that would define Egyptian civilization for millennia. This was a place of extraordinary strategic importance, where trade routes from across the ancient world intersected, where merchants, craftsmen, and diplomats from different cultures mingled and exchanged goods and ideas. The archaeological record paints a rich picture of Memphis's urban landscape. Craftsmen's workshops line the streets, creating everything from intricate jewelry to massive stone monuments. Dockyards bustled with activity, ships laden with goods from distant lands. Residential neighborhoods showed sophisticated urban planning that was millennia ahead of its time. At the heart of the city stood the Temple of Ptah, the local god of creation and patron of craftsmanship. Ptah was more than just a religious figure. He represented the creative spirit of Memphis itself. Craftsmen would pray to Ptah before beginning their work, seeing their skills as a divine gift. The temple was not just a religious building, but a center of artistic and technological innovation. The Memphite necropolis isn't just a single site either. It's a complex of 4 incredible pyramid fields: Saqqara, Dahshur, Giza, and Abuser. Each represents a chapter in Egypt's architectural and cultural evolution, a testament to the changing technologies and religious beliefs of ancient Egyptian civilizations. Saqqara holds a special place in architectural history. Here, in the 27th century BCE, the world's first pyramid emerged, the Step Pyramid of Djoser, designed by the legendary architect Imhotep. This wasn't just a tomb. It was a revolutionary concept that transformed burial practices. Previous mastaba tombs were simple, rectangular structures. Imhotep created a complex that included not just the pyramid, but an entire funerary complex with temples, courtyards, and underground passages. The archaeological excavations at Saqqara reveal layers of incredible complexity. The site was used for burials for over 3,000 years, from the First Dynasty to the Ptolemaic period. Each layer tells a different story, from simple pit graves to elaborate stone tombs, showing the evolution of Egyptian burial practices and social structures. Dahshur represents another crucial stage in pyramid development. Here, ancient Egyptian architects began to experiment with the smooth-sided pyramid design that would become iconic. The bent pyramid and the red pyramid of Pharaoh Snefru show the technical challenges of creating these massive stone structures. Imagine the engineering challenges: calculating precise angles, transporting massive limestone blocks, creating internal chambers that would remain stable for thousands of years. Giza, of course, represents the pinnacle of pyramid construction. The Great Pyramid of Khufu stands as a marvel of ancient engineering. Built during the 4th Dynasty, around 2560 BCE, it originally stood 146.5 meters tall, the tallest human-made structure in the world for thousands of years. Modern engineers continue to debate how such a massive structure could have been constructed with the technological limitations of the time. But Memphis was more than just its monuments. During the Old Kingdom, it was the administrative and cultural heart of Egypt. Around 2250 BCE, it was possibly the most populated city in the world, home to over 500,000 people. This was truly a cosmopolitan center, where different cultures mixed, where technological innovations emerged, and where the foundations of one of the world's most enduring civilizations were laid. The city's importance continued through multiple historical periods. During the New Kingdom, even though Thebes had become the capital, Memphis remained a crucial cultural and religious center. Pharaohs like Ramses II continued to enhance the city, constructing grand monuments that would echo through millennia. Archaeological evidence reveals the city's remarkable resilience. Despite invasions, including devastating Assyrian attacks in 661 BCE, Memphis continued to adapt and survive. The Greek historian Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BCE, described Memphis as a prosperous, multicultural city that maintained its significance even as political power shifted. The founding of Alexandria by Alexander the Great in 331 BCE marked the beginning of Memphis's decline. The Ptolemaic and Roman periods saw a gradual shift of economic and political power. By 641 CE, the city was largely abandoned, its stones repurposed to build the emerging Cairo. But the legacy of Memphis lives on. Over 9,000 rock-cut tombs, spanning multiple dynasties, tell stories of a civilization's evolution. Temples, workshops, residential areas, each archaeological layer reveals another piece of the intricate puzzle of ancient Egyptian life. Now, here's a tidbit to make you the most interesting person at your next dinner party. Cleopatra lived closer to the moon landing than to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and the city's original name, Inapije, meant white walls. Imagine a gleaming metropolis rising from the desert, its limestone structures reflecting the harsh sunlight. Now that we've explored the history of this incredible place, let's talk about how to get there and some travel tips to help you plan your trip. The best airport to fly into if you're coming from another country is Cairo International Airport. Giza and Cairo are close in proximity, so you can get a cab or schedule a rideshare service to pick you up from the airport. Just do some research if you use a ride-sharing app because the rules are a bit different here. When it comes to purchasing tickets, you can schedule tours of Giza, the Sphinx, Memphis, and Saqqara with an Egyptologist who's an expert of the history, art, and architecture of ancient Egypt. They'll coordinate the transportation, tickets, and sometimes lunch, all in your native language. You can buy tickets on site day of if you don't want to take a tour. There are signs by the major sites in Arabic, since it's the native language, and English descriptions, so you'll understand what you're seeing. But in truth, the history is so rich and nuanced that much context will be lost without having an expert to guide you. A sentence or two just doesn't do it justice. Unless you also happen to be an expert in Egyptian history, which if so, hats off to you. Also, my understanding is that vendors will try to sell you things and get you to purchase camel rides and that they can be quite aggressive. So going with a tour will make it less likely that they'll approach you. Another tip: go early in the day before it gets hot. In the summer, it gets up to in the 90s to almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit. October to April is probably the ideal time to visit if possible. Some things you may want to see while you're in the area include the open-air Memphis Museum. You can go horseback riding past the pyramids, which must be magical, and see the Nile River via boat ride tour with dinner often included. There's also the Museum of Egyptian Antiquities, which has mummies and the gold mask of Tut. This site garners almost 14 million visitors annually, so make sure you book ahead no matter what you decide to do. Now, on to where to stay. There are hundreds of hotels, bed and breakfasts, hostels, condos, and all-inclusive resorts. Now, let's touch on the cuisine. This area has over 2,000 restaurants and vendors selling food, so you'll have lots of options. You can try mainstays like meat and vegetable kebabs and falafel. Kashari is another traditional dish worth trying, and that's composed of rice and lentils. I should mention there are a lot of vegan, vegetarian, and halal choices. Now, let's move on to my favorite part, the paranormal, legends, and conspiracies surrounding this site. The first is around a set of mysterious black boxes called the Serapeum of Skara. 24 coffin-shaped boxes to be exact, with stone cutting so precise that people argue it was left behind by aliens and not actually created by the Egyptians. Historians are unsure what the purpose of the boxes were. It's possible they held religious significance since the Egyptians were big into honoring the dead and animal worship. It's actually thought they may have been used to bury the sacred Apis bull, which would explain why they're so large, weighing 70 to 100 tons. And this was pure granite. So while the ancient Egyptians may have been up on their geometry compared to other cultures of the time, this was extensive work to be done without modern technology. The other legend is one many of us have heard: pharaohs haunting their tombs. Visitors and employees claim to have seen ghostly figures wandering the area. Egyptians believed that the spirit, called the Ka, stayed with the physical body to ensure it was taken care of. Also, this is a place built to honor funerary practices, so that gives it a creepy feel in its own right, whether or not there are actual specters hanging around. Now, let's talk about the historic preservation piece as we wrap up. Issues and challenges that are faced with keeping this site safe. As I said before, they get millions of visitors, and no surprise, over-tourism seems to be the main issue. And it's hard because they need travelers to spend money to keep up the property and inject dollars into the local economy. But on the other hand, it affects public infrastructure like roads, and when there are droughts, all of the extra people may impact the water supply. Some measures that have been taken include instituting entry fees to reduce tourism and create sustainable visitation. They also have put protection into place for the property, including fencing and security cameras, because, unfortunately, people try to steal pieces of stone from the building and artifacts. It's exciting to see that they're taking the proper steps to ensure that future generations get to enjoy Memphis and its necropolis. And that concludes our journey through Memphis, a city that was once the beating heart of one of humanity's most extraordinary civilizations. From its revolutionary pyramids to its intricate urban landscape, Memphis represents far more than stone and sand. It's a testament to human creativity, ambition, and our endless quest to leave a mark that transcends time. Our next episode of the Global Treasures podcast will transport us to another UNESCO World Heritage Site that captures the imagination. Mont Saint-Michel and its bay in France. Perched dramatically on a rocky tidal island, this medieval marvel is breathtaking, a fusion of natural wonder and human architectural genius. We'll explore how this extraordinary monastery fortress has stood resilient against changing tides, political upheavals, and the relentless passage of centuries. So join us next time as we uncover the mystical world of Mont Saint-Michel, where architecture, geography, and human determination create a landscape that seems to defy the very laws of nature. Until then, keep exploring, keep wondering, and keep treasuring the remarkable diversity of our world's heritage.